You know, back in 2007, a man walked onto a stage, and he didn't just launch a phone. He launched a worldwide obsession. Since then, Apple has become way more than just a company. It's a full-blown phenomenon. But how in the world did they do it? Today, we're going to deconstruct the entire architecture of that obsession.
It's actually hard to remember, isn't it? But before 2007, phones were, well, they were just tools. They had buttons, clunky keypads. Honestly, they were pretty boring. Then Steve Jobs gets on stage and reveals the iPhone. It's just a screen, but inside that screen was a huge promise, and almost overnight, everything changed. People didn't just like this new thing, they had to have it. So the big question we're asking in this explainer is, how did Apple manage to turn a simple tool into an object of such intense global desire?
All right, so the very first piece of the puzzle is digging into the psychology of desire. And here's the big secret, the thing you have to understand about Apple. It has never, ever been just about the product. And this is absolutely crucial. Apple isn't really in the technology business. No, they are in the emotion business. This is the core of their entire strategy. It's the foundation that everything else is built on.
And what's so fascinating is the specific emotions they target. We're not talking about just feeling happy. We're talking about the feeling of luxury, a signal of status, and that really deep-seated human need we all have for belonging. The goal is that when you hold an Apple product, you feel different, like you're set apart from the crowd. So let's move on to the next pillar of their strategy, what I call the ecosystem trap. Because, creating that initial desire is one thing, but keeping you there, that's a whole other ballgame. And the philosophy is brutally simple. Once you're in for good. And this is a path that so many of us have walked down, right? It starts out innocently enough, usually with just one device, the iPhone. Then, maybe you get a MacBook for work or for school. And pretty soon, you've got the AirPods and an Apple Watch. And this is where the magic, or you could say the trap, is sprung. Everything connects so flawlessly, so perfectly, that the idea of leaving, of breaking that perfect sync, it becomes almost impossible to even think about. Okay, now for the third secret. And this one is hiding in plain sight. It's all about the secrets of their design. But the key here isn't about adding more stuff. It's about the incredible power of simplicity.
It's so easy to just look at an Apple product and think, wow, that's beautiful. But every single element is intentional. I mean, every curve, every little animation, every sound it makes, it is all meticulously engineered to trigger a tiny feeling of satisfaction deep inside your brain.
Just think about that. The satisfaction you feel when you use their products, that's been engineered. That super clean, simple interface becomes addictive. And here's the masterstroke. While all their competitors are racing to add more features, more buttons, more clutter, Apple is famous for removing complexity. And that refusal to be complicated is exactly what makes their design so powerful and so desirable.
Next up is something that feels like it should not work at all: the price of belief. Apple proves time and again that making something expensive can actually make people want it even more. Common sense tells us that if something is expensive, it's probably overpriced, right? But Apple's strategy just completely flips that on its head. They have literally trained us to believe that if it's expensive, it must be better. That high price tag isn't a barrier, it's a feature. It's what creates that perception of superior quality and exclusivity.
So what happens when all these strategies, the emotion, the ecosystem, the design, the price, when they all start working together? Well, you get something way more powerful than just a bunch of customers. You get a tribe.
I mean, think about it. You've seen this. Apple users don't just buy the products. They become evangelists for the brand. They get online and defend it. They argue for its superiority with their friends. They actively promote the products to their family, becoming this incredibly effective and completely unpaid marketing army. But here is the reality we have to face. This intense loyalty, this tribalism, it is not an accident, not even close. It's engineered. Every single notification, every feature, every new update is part of a very deliberate system. A system designed with one single goal in mind: to keep you hooked. To make absolutely sure that when the next new product comes out, you feel almost compelled to upgrade again and again and again. So all of this leads to a final and pretty critical question that you really have to ask yourself when you look at your relationship with these devices, with this brand. Are you the one in control? Are you using Apple, or is Apple using you?
Because in the end, what this entire strategy proves is that the most powerful and sophisticated piece of technology Apple has ever created, well, it isn't the iPhone you're holding in your hands. It's the idea they so perfectly planted in your mind.